Have you ever felt a presence in an empty room or heard a whisper with no one there? These moments tap into one of humanity's oldest questions: what happens after we die? Across every culture and age, we wonder if something of us, spirit or soul, continues on. Ghost stories fascinate us because they reflect our hopes that loved ones linger, and our fears that some spirits may be lost or angry. For ancient peoples, the world was alive with spirits, in trees, rivers, and the sky. Ancestors were honored and believed to guide the living. This belief that the living and dead are not far apart runs through human history, suggesting our existence is bigger than our time on Earth. For billions, sacred texts like the Bible offer wisdom and answers about life, death, and the possibility of spirits. But what does the Bible really say about ghosts? To find out, we must journey into its ancient stories. Before searching for ghosts in the Bible, let's define the term. A ghost is usually thought of as the spirit of someone who has died, making its presence known to the living. In some cultures, ghosts are restless souls with unfinished business. In others, they're revered ancestors, offering wisdom and protection. The idea of a ghost can be terrifying or comforting, depending on the story and culture. Ultimately, a ghost is a reflection of our thoughts about death, memory, and connection. With this understanding, we can now turn to the Bible to see how it approaches the idea of spirits. What kinds of supernatural encounters are recorded in its pages, and how do these stories shape our understanding of the spirit world? Let's find out. To truly understand the biblical stories about spirits, we first need to immerse ourselves in the world of ancient Israel, a world shaped by its landscapes, traditions, and deeply held beliefs about the unseen. The Israelites were unique in the ancient world for their belief in one God, Yahweh. Yet, their spiritual imagination was rich and complex. Alongside Yahweh, they recognized the existence of angels, messengers and protectors, and demons, who were seen as forces of chaos and temptation. These spiritual beings were thought to be active, influencing daily life, fate, and even the outcome of battles. The Old Testament, or Hebrew Bible, strictly forbids contacting the dead. This wasn't just a rule. It was a core part of their faith, woven into their laws and stories. The Israelites believed that seeking out spirits or trying to communicate with the dead was a serious offense. Necromancy, attempting to summon or speak with the dead, was seen as a betrayal of trust in God. It was considered a dangerous path, one that could lead people away from the safety and guidance of Yahweh and into spiritual peril. Laws against mediums and spiritists were not just about maintaining religious purity. They were meant to protect the community from spiritual harm, confusion, and the influence of forces that were believed to be beyond human control. In their worldview, the dead were believed to go to Sheol, a shadowy silent realm beneath the earth. Sheol was not a place of torment or reward, but a quiet existence, separated from the living. The dead were not meant to return, and any breach of this boundary was deeply unsettling. So, for the people of ancient Israel, any story of a spirit returning from Sheol would have been shocking, even terrifying. It would have challenged their understanding of life, death, and the order established by God. The Israelites' world was full of spiritual activity, rituals, prayers, and encounters with the divine. But the boundaries were clear. Seek God, not the spirits of the dead. Their faith was built on trust in Yahweh alone. This context is crucial for understanding the Bible's rare and extraordinary tales of spirits. When such stories appear, they are never ordinary. They signal moments of crisis, warning, or profound change. When spirits appear in the biblical narrative, it's never casual or expected. It's a sign that something momentous is happening, something that demands attention and reflection. With this background in mind, let's look at one of the most famous and mysterious examples from the Bible. The most direct and haunting story about summoning a spirit in the Bible is the tale of King Saul and the Witch of Endor. This dramatic episode stands out not only for its supernatural elements, but also for the deep sense of desperation and fear that surrounds it. Saul, once a mighty king chosen by God, now finds himself utterly alone. Abandoned by God, ignored by prophets, and facing a powerful enemy, he is desperate for guidance. In his darkest hour, Saul seeks out a forbidden medium, a woman known for her ability to contact the dead, hoping for answers that no living person can give him. Disguised in a cloak to hide his identity, Saul approaches the woman under cover of night. Ironically, he is breaking his own law, for he had previously banned all such practices in Israel. Yet his fear and need for answers drive him to this risky act. The woman, clearly afraid of the consequences, reluctantly agrees to perform the ritual. As she begins, something truly unexpected happens. She is visibly shocked when a spirit actually appears before her, a moment that terrifies both her and Saul. She describes seeing an old man in a robe rising from the earth. Saul immediately recognizes this figure as the prophet Samuel, the very man he hoped to reach. Overcome with fear and awe, Saul bows deeply before the apparition, but Samuel's spirit offers no comfort. Instead, he confronts Saul, asking, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Samuel's message is grim. He tells Saul that God has turned away from him, and that there is no hope left. Samuel then delivers a chilling prophecy. Saul will be defeated in battle, and both he and his sons will die. The words seal Saul's fate, confirming the doom he so desperately tried to avoid. Overwhelmed by terror and despair, Saul collapses to the ground. His desperate act, meant to save him, has only brought him face to face with his own downfall. This story stands as a powerful warning about the dangers of seeking answers from forbidden or occult sources. It shows the consequences of turning away from faith and relying on practices condemned by one's own beliefs. The encounter at Endor remains the Bible's most vivid and unsettling account of a spirit returning from the dead, shrouded in mystery and fear. But what really happened that night? Was it truly the spirit of Samuel or something far more sinister? For centuries, scholars and theologians have debated this event. Was it a genuine miracle, a deception, or a warning about the dangers of meddling with the unknown? Let's explore the interpretations. The Witch of Endor story has sparked debate for centuries. Some say the woman was a fraud, tricking Saul with a staged performance. Others believe she summoned a demon impersonating Samuel, since God would not allow a prophet to be called back by forbidden means. The most direct reading is that God allowed Samuel's spirit to appear for this one extraordinary moment, delivering a final judgment. Each view has strengths and weaknesses, but all agree, Saul's act was desperate and dangerous. The story warns against seeking knowledge from the dead. It's a cautionary tale about spiritual boundaries. The message is clear: turning from God to forbidden sources leads only to ruin. But what about the New Testament? Do ghosts appear there too? In the New Testament, we find another ghostly moment, this time on the Sea of Galilee. Jesus' disciples, caught in a storm, see a figure walking on water and immediately think it's a ghost. Their fear reveals that belief in ghosts was common in first-century Judea. These were ordinary men, and their first instinct was to see a phantom, not a miracle. But the figure is Jesus, who calls out, "Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid." His voice calms their fear and reveals the truth. This story isn't about a real ghost, but about how fear can make us see what isn't there. Faith, not fear, brings clarity. The disciples' reaction shows how ghost stories shaped their worldview. But Jesus offers something far greater than a haunting. He brings peace in the storm. The most significant ghost encounter in the New Testament unfolds in the days after Jesus' resurrection, a moment that forever changed the way his followers understood life, death, and the world beyond. This event is not just a fleeting apparition or a mysterious vision. It is a direct, physical encounter that challenges the very idea of what it means to be alive after death. When Jesus suddenly appears to his disciples, they are overwhelmed with fear and confusion. The room is filled with tension, as they struggle to comprehend what they're seeing. To them, it seems impossible. Could this really be Jesus, or are they witnessing a ghostly spirit, a phantom from beyond the grave? Sensing their terror, Jesus speaks words meant to calm and reassure. "Look at my hands and my feet, it is I myself. Touch me and see, a ghost does not have flesh and bones as you see I have." He invites them to examine the wounds in his hands and feet, the marks of his crucifixion, offering undeniable proof of his physical presence. To further demonstrate that he is not a mere apparition, Jesus sits down and eats with them. He shares a simple meal of bread and fish, actions that would be impossible for a spirit. This act is deeply symbolic, showing that he is truly alive, sharing fellowship and breaking bread just as he did before his death. This moment is crucial for the disciples and for all who would come after. Jesus makes a clear distinction between himself and a ghost, emphasizing that his resurrection is not just spiritual, but physical and real. The disciples' relief and joy are palpable as they realize they are not seeing a vision, but their teacher and friend, alive once more. The Bible does not shy away from the idea of spirits or ghosts. In fact, it acknowledges that such concepts exist in the ancient world. But it places the resurrected Jesus in a completely different category. He is not a wandering soul or a lost spirit, but someone who has conquered death and returned in both body and spirit. These stories do not deny the existence of spirits or the possibility of encounters with the supernatural. Instead, they shift the focus away from fear of the unknown and toward the hope and promise of resurrection. The emphasis is not on haunting, but on the victory of life over death. Jesus is not a lingering soul trapped between worlds. He is the conqueror of death, standing triumphant outside the empty tomb. His resurrection is a declaration that death does not have the final word and that new life is possible for all. The message is clear and powerful. Faith in the resurrection, not fear of ghosts or spirits, is at the very heart of Christian hope. This belief inspires worship, joy, and a sense of purpose for believers throughout the ages. The Bible's focus is not on tales of ghosts or restless spirits, but on the promise of new life, renewal, and transformation. It invites us to look beyond fear and embrace the hope that comes with resurrection. So, what does it all mean? It means that the Christian story is ultimately about hope, not fear, about life, not death. The resurrection of Jesus stands as a powerful reminder that, in the end, love and life prevail. So, what's the Bible's position on ghosts? It's complicated. The Bible never gives a simple answer, but it does present a world where spiritual beings are real. Laws against necromancy suggest people believed in the possibility of contacting spirits, but such acts were forbidden and dangerous. The Witch of Endor story is unique, an exception, not the rule. In the New Testament, ghostly fears are shown to be misunderstandings, not reality. The Bible's main concern is our relationship with God, not the existence of ghosts. Seeking guidance from the dead is always portrayed as misguided. The message, seek wisdom from God, not from the shadows. What can we learn from these biblical ghost stories? They acknowledge our curiosity and fear about death, but point us toward hope and faith. Saul's story warns against seeking answers from forbidden sources. The disciples' fear shows how easily we misinterpret the unknown. The Bible encourages trust in God, not in the voices of the dead. Faith brings clarity and peace, even in the face of mystery. Ultimately, the Bible's message is not about ghosts, but about resurrection and new life. Jesus is not a ghost, but the promise of victory over death. So while the Bible touches on the mysterious, its ultimate message is one of hope beyond the grave.